The neutral star system of Virex Prime had never been this crowded. Hundreds of warships floated in perfect formation, their hulls shining like polished blades under the white glow of the star. Every major power in the galaxy had arrived. This was not a war. It was a show, a display of dominance. The Galactic Defense Council had announced a live demonstration, proof that order still ruled the stars. New weapons would be revealed. Fleets would maneuver with flawless precision. The broadcast reached trillions of viewers across settled space. Power was meant to be admired today. Alien admirals stood inside a vast observation ring, watching their fleets move like art. Massive carriers unfolded drone wings. Cruisers fired controlled beams that sliced asteroids into dust. Every shot was clean. Every movement is perfect. The council chamber filled with approval and pride. Humanity was invited as well. Most expected nothing. Earth had been quiet for generations. No major expansions. No recent wars. Their fleets were rarely seen beyond their own borders. To most of the galaxy, humans were a solved problem, once violent, now tamed by time and treaties. When the time came for Earth's arrival, the chamber barely paid attention. A single warp signature appeared at the edge of the system. Just one. Laughter rippled through the chamber. "Is that all?" one admiral asked, his voice sharp with amusement. The image expanded on the main display. The human ship emerged slowly from the warp. It was old, not ancient, but clearly worn. Its hull was dark, layered with thick armor plates scarred by deep impact marks. Repairs were visible everywhere. Weld lines crossed older damage. Entire sections looked reinforced again and again, as if the ship had been rebuilt without concern for beauty. It did not shine. It did not look fast. Compared to the sleek alien fleets, it looked heavy, crude, out of place. A council officer read the designation aloud, struggling to hide his smile. Human vessel, classification, veteran warship. Status, active reserve. More laughter. "A museum piece," someone said. "Did Earth misunderstand the assignment?" another added. Even the automated scanners seemed unimpressed. The readouts flickered with strange gaps and conflicting numbers. Mass readings spiked, then dropped. Energy output appeared low for a ship of that size. Faulty instruments, the council assumed. Human tech was known to be unconventional. The ship did not respond to the mocking chatter flooding open channels. It simply drifted forward, steady and silent. A senior council commander leaned forward, amused. "Human vessel," he said loudly, ensuring the galaxy heard him. "This demonstration is meant for active military forces. Do you require assistance finding your escort?" The human response came after a pause. Calm, controlled, almost polite. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the Earth Defense Fleet," the voice said. "We are here to observe." That was it. No apology. No explanation. The laughter grew louder. One admiral waved a claw dismissively. "Observe, then." From a distance. The human ship continued forward anyway. Its engines did not flare. There was no dramatic acceleration. Yet the distance closed faster than expected. Several officers frowned. "Adjust scan resolution," one said. The sensors recalibrated. The data made no sense. The ship's mass appeared far greater than its volume allowed. Its internal structure was layered in ways scanners struggled to penetrate. Power readings were low, yet the ship's core showed deep, stable output, like a mountain buried under calm ground. "Probably outdated shielding confuses the algorithms," an analyst muttered. Still, unease crept into the room. The human warship stopped at the edge of the demonstration zone. It waited. Alien fleets continued their performance. A formation of destroyers fired a synchronized volley that vaporized a target drone in a brilliant flash. The audience cheered. The human ship did nothing. Then, without warning, several nearby sensors blinked out. Just for a second, communications crackled with static. A few screens went dark, then returned. "System glitch," the technician said quickly. But the silence that followed felt heavy. The human ship shifted its orientation slightly. Not toward any single vessel. Toward all of them. Targeting officers stiffened. "That's odd," one whispered. "Their fire control systems are active." Another officer checked the readings twice. Then again. "They're locking patterns," he said slowly. "Across multiple fleets." The chamber quieted. The senior commander scoffed. "Posturing," he said. "They know they're being watched." He turned his gaze back to the human ship. "Captain Ward," he said, Voice sharp now. Power down your weapons. This is a demonstration zone. The reply came instantly. Negative. The word echoed. For the first time, the laughter stopped. The commander's expression hardened. Explain. This ship is retired, Captain Ward said. Its systems cannot be partially disabled. That answer raised more questions than it answered. A murmur spread through the chamber. The commander made a decision. Very well, he said. We will conduct a controlled test. One warning strike. Minimal yield. Several admirals nodded. This would embarrass Earth and end the tension. A single alien cruiser detached from formation. Its weapon charged, glowing with clean blue light. The audience leaned forward. The beam fired. It struck the human warship dead center. For a moment, the display was filled with light and smoke. Some smiled already. Then the smoke cleared. The human ship was still there. No shields flared. No visible damage appeared. The hull looked exactly the same, scarred, dark, unmoved. Silence crushed the chamber. No damage, someone whispered. The cruiser's captain reported in, confused. Direct hit confirmed. The human ship finally responded. Not with words. Every targeting display in the chamber lit up red at once. Lock warning screamed. Across the system, hundreds of ships felt something brush against their defenses, like a finger testing glass. Impossible. The human ship fired a single weapon. There was no bright flash. No sound. One alien cruiser simply vanished. Not exploded. Gone. The chamber erupted in chaos. What was that? Raise shields. Break formation. The human ship advanced. Slowly. Steadily. Captain Ward's voice returned to the channel, calm as before. Demonstration acknowledged, he said. Observation complete. The old warship moved forward. And the galaxy began to understand that laughter had been a mistake. The chamber did not calm down. Alarms overlapped with shouted orders. Fleet commanders talked over one another, each demanding answers that no one could give. Tactical displays struggled to update as data streams lagged and corrected themselves again and again. One cruiser was simply gone. No debris, no energy bloom, no radiation spike. Erased. The human warship continued its slow advance, its engines humming with a low, steady rhythm that did not match any known drive profile. It moved like something that did not need to hurry, like something certain the battlefield would wait for it. Confirm loss, the senior commander snapped. Multiple confirmations arrived at once. Target no longer exists. No residual matter detected. No spatial rupture. The words felt unreal. That weapon violates half our combat models, an analyst said, voice shaking. It didn't overload shields. It didn't pierce armor. It removed the ship. The commander clenched his jaw. Scan the human vessel again. Full spectrum. Tear it apart if you have to. Every sensor array turned toward the old warship. And failed. The scans returned fragments. Contradictions. Empty spaces where data should be. The hull appeared layered in dense, irregular plates that bent signals away from critical sections. Internal compartments shifted between readings, as if the ship was rearranging itself faster than the scanners could map it. It's not stealth, one technician said slowly. It's stubborn. That made no sense. And yet it fit. The human ship did not hide. It endured. A historian assigned to the council spoke up hesitantly. There are old records, she said. Early human war doctrine. From before their first treaties. No one laughed this time. They fought wars of survival, she continued. Repeatedly. Against enemies that outnumbered them. Against environments that should have killed them. Their ships weren't built for elegance. They were built to keep fighting after they should have been dead. The commander waved her off. Speculation. But his eyes stayed on the human vessel. Human ship, he said, forcing control into his voice. You have destroyed a council cruiser. Stand down immediately. Captain Ward's response came without delay. You initiated a live fire, he said. We responded with a defensive sample. Sample. The word echoed like a threat. Around the system, alien fleets are repositioned. Shields flared. Weapons charged. What had been a demonstration now felt like a trap closing from all sides. The human ship did not change course. It crossed into the center of the formation. Alien commanders hesitated. No one wanted to be the next to disappear. Why would they send only one ship? An admiral whispered. Even humans aren't that foolish. Unless they didn't need more. Another scan alert flashed. Power surge detected. A technician reported. Not from their weapons. From internal systems. What kind? The technician swallowed. Structural reinforcement cycles. The ship is bracing. Bracing for what? The commander made his choice. All fleets, he ordered, prepare coordinated strikes. Non-lethal if possible. Disable engines. We take the ship intact. That was the plan. It was a bad one. Dozens of ships fired at once. Energy beams crossed the void, controlled and precise, aimed at propulsion systems and external mounts. Missiles followed, smart and adaptive. The human warship took the hits and kept moving. Beams struck its hull and spread. Their energy pulled sideways and sunk into the armor. Missiles detonated, tearing away outer layers, only to reveal deeper plates beneath, already scarred, already reinforced. Damage reports scrolled in. Minimal effect. Structural integrity holding. Target speed unchanged. The ship did not accelerate. It did not evade. It advanced through the fire. Inside the human vessel, alarms rang, but they were familiar sounds. Crew members moved with practiced calm, sealing compartments, rerouting power, stepping over old scorch marks that had been there long before today. This ship had been hit worse. The human warship raised its primary batteries. Alien targeting officers screamed warnings. The ship fired again. This time, it was not one shot. It was a sequence. Invisible pulses rippled outward, distorting space itself. Ships at the edges of the formation lurched as navigation systems failed. Some slammed into allies. Others spun helplessly as their drives cut out. This isn't an attack, an analyst shouted. It's a disruption field. Formations collapsed. Command chains broke. The human ship exploited the chaos with terrifying efficiency. Each shot targeted command vessels, sensor hubs, and coordination relays. It did not waste firepower on random destruction. It was dismantling the Armada piece by piece. This ship knows how we fight, an admiral said, voice tight with fear. No, the historian corrected quietly. It knows how wars fight. The commander's confidence cracked. Where is the rest of their fleet? He demanded. Captain Ward answered as if he had been waiting for the question. Earth does not deploy veterans in groups, he said. They attract attention. That made no sense. Until it did. Another weapon fired from the human ship, not toward a fleet, but toward open space. Gravity twisted. A ripple spread, subtle but devastating. Several alien ships found themselves dragged off course, pulled into unstable vectors that tore formations apart. Shields flickered under stresses they were never designed to resist. Panic replaced discipline. Pull back, someone shouted. Too late, another replied. The human warship finally spoke again, and this time the tone was different. Still calm, but heavy. This vessel was built at the end of a long war, Captain Ward said. It was designed to outlast enemies who believed victory was guaranteed. The commander stared at the display, his reflection warped by the image of the advancing ship. How old is that vessel? He asked quietly. The answer came from the historian. Older than most of the Council's current doctrines, she said. Older than their assumptions about humanity. The human ship crossed the heart of the formation. Alien weapons fire slowed. Some ships powered down entirely, choosing survival over pride. Others fired blindly and vanished. The human warship took damage now. Deep scars opened across its hull. Fires burned in exposed sections. Yet the ship pressed on, systems compensating, armor shifting, power rerouting. It was not invincible. It was relentless. The commander finally understood. This was not Earth showing strength. This was Earth reminding the galaxy of something it had forgotten. The human ship was not here to win quickly. It was here to prove a lesson. As the Armada fractured and burned, Captain Ward issued one final transmission. This is a retired ship, he said. Active units are faster. The channel closed, and the surviving fleets realized, with growing horror, that if this was what humanity sent when it did not care about appearances, they had no idea what Earth would send when it did. The Armada was no longer a formation. It was a scattering of wounded pride, broken lines, and drifting wrecks. Ships spun slowly through the void, their engines dead or misaligned, their command networks shredded by systems they did not understand. And at the center of it all, the human warship kept moving. Slow, certain, uninterrupted. Inside the Galactic Defense Council chamber, no one spoke for several long seconds. The laughter from earlier felt like a memory from another lifetime. Every face reflected the same truth now. confusion turning into fear. "This isn't possible," an admiral said finally. His voice was thin. No single vessel should be able to control a battlespace this large. The tactical display told a crueler story. The human ship was not controlling the field through raw firepower. It was shaping it, pushing fleets where it wanted them, breaking coordination, forcing mistakes. It fought like it expected chaos, because it was built for it. "Bring up damage reports," the senior commander ordered. The reports flooded in. "Command relays offline in 6 fleets. Navigation drift exceeds safety margins. Friendly collisions confirmed. Morale failure spreading." Morale. That word should not have mattered to fleets equipped with the galaxy's best technology. But it did. The human ship had not only struck their systems, it had struck certainty. "Human vessel," the commander said, forcing his voice steady. "You have made your point. Withdraw now." The response came slower this time. Not delayed. Measured. "Negative," Captain Ward replied. "The lesson is incomplete." A chill ran through the chamber. "What lesson?" an admiral demanded. The answer did not come immediately. Instead, the human ship fired again. This time, it targeted no one. A pulse expanded outward, rippling through space like a silent wave. Every active sensor in the system spiked at once, then went blind. Displays filled with static. Targeting grids collapsed. Even long-range communication arrays sputtered and failed. For a few terrifying seconds, the Armada was deaf, blind, and alone. Only one ship remained fully operational. The human warship. "How are they immune?" a technician shouted. "They're not immune," another replied, staring at the data. "They anticipated it. Their systems aren't networked the way ours are. They're isolated, redundant, manual." Manual. The word sounded primitive. It was not. The historian's voice cut through the noise again. "Early human fleets," she said, "were designed under the assumption that automation would fail. They believed anything that could break eventually would." The commander turned slowly. "So they planned to keep fighting anyway." "Yes," she said, "with or without systems." On the main display, several alien ships powered down their weapons entirely. Their commanders had made the same calculation. Survival was no longer guaranteed by technology. The human ship advanced toward one of the largest remaining carriers. The carrier's captain opened a direct channel, panic barely hidden. "Human captain," he said, "we are standing down. We will comply." Captain Ward answered, his tone unchanged. "Compliance noted." The human ship passed the carrier without firing. Relief washed through parts of the Armada. Then a different fleet opened fire. A younger admiral, new, ambitious, terrified, had decided retreat meant weakness. His ships launched everything they had. Beams, missiles, experimental weapons not meant for live use. The human warship was struck from multiple angles at once. This time, the damage was real. Armor peeled away in chunks. Internal explosions flashed briefly through exposed compartments. The ship's forward momentum slowed for the first time. Cheers erupted from that fleet. "They're hurt. They bleed." The cheering lasted less than a second. The human ship changed posture. Its engines flared, not brighter, but heavier. Space bent around it, as if mass itself had shifted. The ship rotated toward the attacking fleet with deliberate focus. Captain Ward spoke again, and now there was something different in his voice. Not anger, disappointment. "Fire control authority acknowledged," he said quietly. The human ship unleashed its primary battery. There was no beam. There was no explosion. The space occupied by 3 enemy cruisers simply folded inward. Gravity surged, compressed, and collapsed. Ships were crushed before alarms could finish sounding. Hulls buckled. Crews were lost in an instant. The rest of the fleet tried to flee. They did not make it far. The gravity field expanded briefly, disrupting drives and tearing formations apart. The ships were left drifting, powerless, intact, but helpless. Silence returned. The message was clear. The first attack had been restraint. This was a correction. Inside the council chamber, the commander felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear, not of defeat, but of understanding too late. "They could have done this from the beginning," he whispered. "Yes," the historian replied. "But then no one would have learned." The human ship reduced speed again. Fire still burned along its hull. Damaged crews could be seen through exposed sections, moving without panic, sealing breaches by hand. They had done this before. The commander swallowed. Captain Ward, he said, what do you want? The reply came after a long pause. To finish the demonstration, Ward said. The commander stared at the display. You've destroyed a third of the Armada, he said. The rest are retreating. They are fleeing, Ward agreed. That is not the same as understanding. The human ship transmitted new data to the Council. Historical records, battle footage, destroyed human colonies, burned worlds, fleets far larger than this one, broken by enemies who laughed first. These ships were built after we learned something, Ward said. That survival does not come from appearing strong. It comes from refusing to stop. The chamber was silent. The human warship slowed near the system's center and powered down its weapons. For the first time since its arrival, it stopped advancing. This concludes the first phase, Ward said. The commander exhaled shakily. First phase? He asked. Yes, Ward replied. Observation. A ripple of unease passed through every remaining fleet. Observation of what? An admiral asked. The human captain answered with brutal simplicity. How you respond when you realize you are not prepared. The transmission ended. The human ship remained in place, damaged, burning, and utterly dominant. And across the galaxy, trillions of viewers began to understand the truth. Earth had not sent this ship to win a battle. It had sent it to remind the stars what war really looked like. And the lesson was not over yet. The battlefield held its breath. Ships drifted in silence, some retreating, some frozen in place, all of them watching the same thing. The damaged, burning human warships sitting calmly at the heart of the system like a predator that had chosen to rest instead of strike. Inside the Galactic Defense Council chamber, the mood had changed completely. Pride was gone. Confidence had collapsed. What remained was calculation mixed with dread. This can't continue, one admiral whispered. If word spreads. It already has, another replied. The entire galaxy is watching. The commander stared at the tactical display. Loss projections climbed higher with every passing second, even without active combat. Collisions, system failures, panic-induced errors. The Armada was bleeding itself apart, and the human ship was not firing. That ship is dictating the pace, the commander said slowly. By doing nothing. The historian nodded. That's another human habit, she said. They wait until the enemy reveals their worst instincts. As if summoned by those words, a new alert sounded. Unknown power signature detected. A technician reported. Origin, internal to the Armada. The commander turned sharply. Explain. One of our fleets, the technician said, voice tight, has activated a classified asset. Authorization level, emergency override. Several admirals stiffened. No, one said quietly. That weapon is forbidden. It was designed for last stand scenarios, another added. Planetary scale suppression. Not this. The commander understood immediately. Fear had crossed a line. On the main display, a massive alien war platform unfolded from behind a carrier group. It was not sleek or elegant. It was brutal, covered in exposed conduits and oversized emitters that glowed with unstable power. A fleet killer. Its purpose was simple: erase everything in a designated volume of space, including allies. The platform began charging. Inside the human warship, warning alarms flared louder than before. The energy buildup was impossible to ignore. Even without understanding the technology, the human crew felt the danger like pressure on the skin. Captain Ward studied the incoming data in silence. Estimate, he said. 12 minutes until discharge, a tactical officer replied. Effective radius exceeds safe margins. Ward nodded once. 12 minutes, he repeated. Plenty of time. The human ship powered up again. Across the Armada, commanders shouted conflicting orders. Abort the charge. We need it. If that fires, no one survives. The war platform did not respond. It had been designed to ignore hesitation. The human warship began moving again toward the platform. This is madness, an alien admiral shouted. They can't reach it in time. The historian spoke softly. They don't need to reach it. On the human ship, power rerouted to a system that had not been active in centuries. Deep within the hull, massive internal structures unlocked, components built around gravity itself. The ship was not fast. It was heavy. Intentionally so. Captain Ward opened a channel to the entire system. This weapon, he said, referring to the charging platform, is why this ship exists. The statement stunned the chamber. This ship was built after we learned a simple truth, Ward continued. When fear escalates unchecked, someone always chooses annihilation. The human warship accelerated, not sharply, but decisively. Space bent around it again, stronger this time. The ship's mass readings spiked to impossible levels. What are they doing? A technician asked. The answer came as gravity itself answered. A field expanded from the human ship, subtle at first, then crushing. Not a weapon designed to destroy, but to control. The war platforms charged destabilized. Energy flowed where it was not meant to go. The platform's operators screamed as systems overloaded. The human ship closed the distance. The commander leaned forward. They're pulling it apart, he whispered. With gravity. Not ripping. Unmaking. The platform's emitters collapsed inward, crushed by forces they were never meant to resist. The charge dissipated harmlessly into folded space, neutralized without a single explosion. The forbidden weapon died silently. Across the Armada, something broke, not in systems, but in spirit. They had crossed every line, and still lost. The human ship did not fire again. Instead, it transmitted new data, this time not history, but schematics. Broken down visuals. Simplified explanations. This is what happens, Ward said, when weapons are designed to end wars instead of survive them. The human ship slowed, visibly strained now. Entire sections glowed from internal heat. Damaged crews worked without pause, some injured, some exhausted, none retreating. One officer on the council noticed something and spoke hesitantly. They're not retreating, she said. But they're not advancing either. The commander understood. They're waiting, he said, for our decision. A young admiral slammed his fist against the console. We should finish it now, he snapped. While it's damaged. The chamber turned toward him. Finish what? The commander asked coldly. Proving them right? The admiral hesitated and said nothing. Another transmission arrived from the human ship, quieter this time. This ship has one purpose, Ward said. To hold the line when everything else fails. The words carried weight beyond the moment. We were not sent to conquer, Ward continued. We were sent because you forgot what desperation looks like. The commander closed his eyes briefly. How many of these ships does Earth have? He asked. Ward answered honestly. Enough, he said, but not many. That answer frightened them more than any other, because it meant each one mattered. Because it meant humanity did not rely on numbers. The human ship cut power to its gravity field and drifted again, clearly weakened but still unchallenged. Around it, the Armada began to withdraw, slowly, carefully, like wounded animals backing away from fire. No one fired. No one laughed. The demonstration was over. But the warship remained, watching, waiting. And as the last of the proud fleets limped away, one final truth settled into the minds of every commander present. This ship was not built for victory. It was built for the moment everything else broke. And if that moment ever came again, humanity would already be there. The battlefield was not empty. It thinned. Damaged fleets withdrew in slow, careful arcs, engines limping, formations loose. Pride is gone now. What remained was caution sharpened by fear. Every surviving commander kept one eye on the human warship, half expecting it to strike again without warning. It did not. The veteran ship drifted near the system's center, scarred and burning, its engines running low and steady. It looked wounded at last. That was when the trap closed. Hidden among the retreating fleets, a cluster of support vessels broke formation. At first, no one noticed. Their transponders still broadcast friendly codes. Their movements appeared routine. Then space twisted. A sudden distortion flared behind the human ship, an artificial fold, crude but violent. It was not a jump drive. It was a containment tear designed to lock a target inside a collapsing pocket of space. A prison. The council chamber erupted. What is that? Who authorized this? The commander's face went pale. That's not a fleet weapon, he said. That's a kill cage. The distortion snapped shut around the human warship, warping sensors and crushing local space. Gravity spiked in jagged waves. Internal alarms screamed across the human vessel as bulkheads buckled and power surged unpredictably. For the first time, the human ship did not advance. It struggled. Inside the hull, crew members were thrown from their feet. Emergency lights flashed red. Fires spread faster than damage crews could seal them. Containment pressure rising, an officer shouted. Structural stress exceeding tolerance. Captain Ward grabbed a rail as the deck lurched beneath him. His voice stayed calm. "Report," he said. "They built it to collapse inward," the tactical officer replied. "If it finishes forming, it'll crush us into nothing." Ward nodded once. "They remembered," he said quietly. "Remember what?" someone asked. "That humans survive," Ward replied. "By trapping us instead of fighting us." The historian on the council stared at the display in horror. "That technique," she whispered, "it's ancient. From wars before the council existed." The commander turned sharply. "You've seen it before?" "In records," she said. "Enemy coalitions tried it against early human fleets. When they couldn't outgun them, they tried to erase them." The kill cage tightened. Space screamed. The human warship's hull cracked in multiple places. Entire outer sections sheared away, drifting as molten debris. Internal gravity failed on several decks. Crew members floated, bleeding, still working. "Captain," the engineer said, voice strained, "we can't hold this much longer." Ward did not answer immediately. He was watching the enemy ships maintaining the field. There were 12 of them, all linked, all confident. "This is why this ship still exists," Ward said finally. "Execute contingency." The engineer froze. "That system hasn't been used in." "Execute," Ward repeated. Deep within the ship, beyond weapons and engines, a sealed core unlocked. Not a bomb, not a reactor, a memory. The ship rerouted power away from shields entirely. Council analysts gasped. "They're dropping defenses." "No," the historian said slowly. "They're doing something worse." The human ship went dark. Not destroyed. Silent. For a brief, terrifying moment, the kill cage operators believed they had won. Then the space inside the cage changed. The human warship's mass readings spiked, then spiked again, then became meaningless. The ship was no longer resisting the pressure. "I accepted it." "What are they doing?" an alien commander shouted. The answer came too late. The human ship activated its core system. Not a weapon, a countermeasure. The ship collapsed its own gravity field inward, synchronizing with the cage's compression. Instead of being crushed, it became an anchor, dragging the cage's forces into itself, feeding on the pressure rather than resisting it. The kill cage destabilized. Energy flowed backward through the containment network. The 12 enemy ships screamed alarms as their systems overloaded. No, cut the link." They tried. They failed. The human ship released the stored pressure all at once. The cage shattered. Not outward. Inward. The 12 ships were pulled into the implosion, crushed, torn apart, and erased in seconds. The distortion collapsed, leaving empty space where the trap had been. The human warship emerged from the fading distortion, barely intact, burning across half its length, but alive. The council chamber was silent. "They planned for it," the commander whispered. "They planned to be trapped." Captain Ward opened a channel, his voice rough now, strained but steady. "That tactic," he said, "was tried on us a long time ago." The galaxy listened. "We lost ships," Ward continued. "We lost worlds. We lost people. But we learned." The human ship limped forward, engines sputtering, hull torn open in places. "We learned that when enemies stop trying to defeat you," Ward said, "and start trying to erase you, mercy becomes a liability." The transmission cut. The human warship powered weapons again, slower this time, weaker, but still functional. Inside the council chamber, something fundamental shifted. This was no longer a demonstration. This was exposure. The commander turned to the historian. "How many times did humanity face extinction?" he asked quietly. She did not hesitate. "Enough to prepare for it," she said. On the battlefield, surviving alien fleets halted their retreat. Not to attack, to watch. They saw the human ship barely holding together, fires raging, systems failing, and yet still refusing to leave. It was not protecting territory. It was a lesson. One final message arrived from the human vessel, broadcast system-wide. "This ship is old," Ward said. "It carries scars because it lived long enough to earn them." The ship drifted, wounded but unbroken, surrounded by the wreckage of traps and fleets alike. "And if you ever wonder why humanity prepares for extinction scenarios," Ward finished, "remember who taught us they were necessary." The channel closed. The Armada did not move, because now they understood something far worse than human strength. Humanity did not fear traps. They remembered them, and they never forgot how to break them. The human warship should have retreated. By every known doctrine, alien or human, it had reached the limit. Half its outer hull was gone. Internal fires burned unchecked in sealed sections. Power reserves dipped into emergency margins that most fleets never planned to use. And yet, it stayed. The battlefield felt wrong now. Not tense with action, but heavy with expectation. The surviving Armada did not advance or flee. They hovered at a cautious distance, watching the wounded ship that had already humiliated them. Inside the Galactic Defense Council chamber, silence ruled. "They're dying," one officer said quietly. "That ship can't hold together much longer." The commander did not answer. He was watching the human vessel's internal feeds, images Earth had not tried to hide. Crew members moved through smoke-filled corridors. Some limped. Some had blood on their uniforms. None were panicking. "They know," the historian said softly. "They always know when a line can't be held forever." On the human warship, Captain Ward stood on the bridge, gripping a console scorched black by a recent overload. The deck vibrated beneath his boots, a constant reminder that the ship was failing piece by piece. "Status," he said. "The reactor is stable but strained," the engineer replied. "Primary weapons at 60%. Gravity system at 20. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. Ward nodded. "Casualties?" A pause. "Confirmed losses," the medical officer said. "More unconfirmed." Ward closed his eyes for a moment. "This ship was never meant to come home clean," he said. Around him, no one argued. A new alert flashed, movement in the Armada. Several alien ships were regrouping. Not retreating. Preparing. The commander in the council chamber saw it too. "They're reorganizing," he said. "Why?" The answer came from a younger analyst, voice tight with fear. "They believe the ship is finally vulnerable." Of course they did. The human warship had shown strength. Now it shows the cost. Across the system, alien commanders faced a choice. Let the human ship withdraw and live with the shame, or end it now and reclaim control of the narrative. Fear made the decision for them. Weapons powered up across multiple fleets. Captain Ward, the council commander, transmitted, desperation creeping into his tone. "You are heavily damaged. Withdraw. This does not need to continue." Ward listened. Then he shook his head. "No," he said simply. The word carried weight. "This ship was sent for a reason," Ward continued. "If we leave now, the lesson becomes optional." The Armada opened fire. Not with restraint this time. Everything they had left surged toward the human warship in a brutal, coordinated wave. Beams cut across space. Missiles filled the void. Experimental weapons screamed as they discharged energy never meant for sustained use. The human ship absorbed the first impacts, then the second, then the third. Armor failed. Internal explosions tore through sections already weakened. The bridge lights flickered. Gravity failed completely for several seconds, throwing crew members hard against bulkheads. "Captain," someone shouted. "We're losing containment." Ward slammed a hand down on the console. "Route auxiliary power to internal braces. Seal decks manually." "Manually?" the engineer asked, stunned. Ward met his eyes. "Do it." Crew members ran. They sealed doors by hand, cranked emergency locks, cut away burning sections to save the rest of the ship. Some compartments were sacrificed entirely, vented into space to prevent catastrophic chain failures. The ship screamed, and still it fought. The human warship returned fire, not wildly, not desperately, but precisely. Each shot targeted command nodes, weapon relays, coordination hubs. The Armada's attack lost cohesion within seconds. But the cost was real. A massive strike hit the human ship's port side, tearing open the hull all the way to the reactor shielding. Radiation alarms screamed. Emergency barriers slammed shut just in time. "Captain," the engineer said, voice breaking, "we can't take another hit like that." Ward stared at the tactical display. He knew. "This is it," he said quietly. "Prepare the ship." The words sent a ripple through the bridge. "Prepare how?" an officer asked. Ward straightened. "For ramming posture." The silence that followed was absolute. "You mean," the officer began. "Yes," Ward said. "If they want this ship gone, we make sure they remember the price." The council chamber erupted. "They're planning to ram. They'll kill themselves. Stop them." The commander opened a channel immediately. "Captain Ward," he said urgently, "you've proven your point. This will only cost lives." Ward's reply was calm, but heavy with something deeper. This ship is a veteran, he said. It does not retreat when the enemy believes victory is close. The human warship altered course, not toward open space, toward the largest remaining alien flagship. The Armada panicked. Break off. Intercept. Disable it now. They fired again, pouring everything into the wounded ship. The human warship burned. Decks collapsed. Power grids failed. Crew members were thrown into darkness and smoke. And still the ship accelerated. Inside the bridge, warning lights went dark one by one as systems shut down or failed. Only the forward view remained, showing the enemy flagship growing larger by the second. Impact in 60 seconds, the navigator said. Ward nodded. All hands, he said into the ship-wide channel. You have done your duty. Anyone able to evacuate, do so now. No one moved. The medical officer spoke quietly. No escape pods remained functional. Ward closed his eyes again. Then we finish this together, he said. The human ship slammed into the alien flagship at full mass. The impact shattered both vessels. The flagship's shields collapsed instantly under the sheer kinetic force. Its hull buckled inward, systems crushed, decks torn apart. The human ship's reinforced prow punched deep into its core before finally stopping. The explosion was contained, not annihilating, but devastating. When the light faded, both ships drifted, locked together, crippled, dying. The Armada fell silent. No one fired. No one moved. The human warship was broken at last. But so was the heart of the Armada. Inside the wrecked hull, Captain Ward pulled himself from the console, blood running down his face. The ship was barely alive, but not dead. Status, he asked hoarsely. The engineer laughed weakly. We're still here. Ward smiled faintly. Good, he said. Then the lesson stands. Across the galaxy, viewers stared at the wreckage. Humanity has not won through dominance. They had won through refusal. Refusal to retreat. Refusal to break. Refusal to let fear decide the ending. And in that moment, every commander watching understood something chilling. Humanity's greatest weapon was not technology. It was the willingness to pay the final price. If that was what it took to stand last. No one fired. The battlefield, once loud with engines and alarms, fell into a silence so deep it felt unnatural. Ships drifted where they had last moved, their weapons powered down, their crews frozen in disbelief. At the center of it all, two crippled giants hung together in space. The alien flagship was dead. Its command spine had collapsed inward, crushed by the human warship's mass. The internal lights were gone. No signals escaped its hull. The human warship remained. Barely. Its forward section was embedded deep into the flagship's remains. Fires burned along exposed decks. The atmosphere vented slowly from shattered compartments. Power flickered like a dying heartbeat. But it was still alive. Inside the Galactic Defense Council chamber, no one spoke. The commander felt his hands trembling and did not bother to hide it. They rammed us, he whispered. They chose collision over retreat. The historian shook her head slowly. No, she said. They chose certainty over chance. Medical and rescue crews across the Armada waited for orders that did not come. No one wanted to be the first to move. Any action now felt like a decision that could not be taken back. A weak transmission cut through the silence. Static. Breathing. Then a voice. This is Captain Elias Ward. Earth Defense Fleet. The sound of it made several admirals flinch. The human warship still spoke. We are combat ineffective, Ward said, each word clearly costing effort. We are requesting no assistance. The commander leaned forward, disbelief sharpening into something else. They don't want rescue, he murmured. Ward continued. This demonstration is concluded. A pause followed, long enough for the galaxy to lean closer. Do not approach, Ward said. This vessel's core is unstable. We will manage containment. Containment. Even now, they plan to handle their own disaster. An admiral slammed a fist against his console. They're bleeding out, and still giving orders like this is routine. The historian replied quietly. Because for them, it is. On the human warship, conditions were grim. Emergency lights cast long shadows across broken corridors. Fires had been isolated, but oxygen was low. Entire decks were sealed off forever, their crews lost in the impact. Captain Ward pushed himself upright, leaning heavily on a support beam. Blood ran into his eye, blurring his vision. Bridge to all hands, he said, forcing strength into his voice. Status report. Responses came slowly. Engineering, present. Medical, operational. Navigation, offline. Life support, holding. Ward nodded. Good, he said. Then we're still standing. An officer hesitated before speaking. Captain, they're not attacking. Ward allowed himself a tired smile. They won't, he said. Not anymore. Outside, alien commanders argued in hushed tones. We should finish it, one said. End this before they recover. With what? Another snapped. With what certainty? The commander raised a hand. Silence fell. No more blood, he said. Not today. He opened a channel to the human warship. Captain Ward, he said, voice steady but stripped of arrogance. Your ship has suffered catastrophic damage. We will honor your request for distance. But understand this. What you have done will change everything. Ward listened. That was the intention, he replied. The commander swallowed. Why, he asked. Why send one ship? Why not a fleet? Why risk this? Ward did not answer immediately. When he did, his voice was quieter than before. Because fleets start wars, he said. Veterans and assumptions. Across the system, emergency beacons activated, not to coordinate attacks, but rescues. Alien ships began recovering their wounded, towing crippled vessels away from the battlefield. They avoided the human ship, not out of fear, out of respect. Inside the council chamber, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Broadcast feeds showed stunned audiences. Analysts struggled to explain what had just happened. A single old human warship had dismantled an armada, neutralized forbidden weapons, survived a kill cage, and shattered a flagship by ramming it. And then it stopped. No victory speech. No conquest. No demands. Only silence. The historian turned to the commander. This is how myths start, she said. He nodded slowly. No, he replied. This is how warnings are remembered. On the human warship, engineers fought to stabilize the core. Power was rerouted again and again, squeezing life out of systems that had already given too much. We can keep her alive, the chief engineer said, exhaustion heavy in his voice. But she won't fight again. Not today. Ward looked around the bridge, at cracked displays, scorched walls, and crew members who refused to sit down even when they should have collapsed. That's fine, he said. She's done enough. The ship drifted slowly, still locked to the dead flagship like a scar carved into history. Another transmission spread across the system, this one from the Galactic Defense Council. By unanimous emergency vote, the commander announced, this demonstration is terminated. All fleets are ordered to stand down and withdraw. No one argued. No one objected. As ships began to leave, one last signal reached the human vessel. Earth Defense Fleet, the commander said. The Council acknowledges your restraint. Ward closed his eyes briefly. Restraint, he repeated. Yes, that's what this was. The channel closed. Hours passed. The battlefield emptied. The human warship remained, drifting alone among wreckage and fading energy echoes. Repair crews worked steadily. Medical teams tended the wounded. Names were recorded. Losses honored. They did not rush. Veterans never did. Finally, long-range sensors detected new warp signatures. Human ones. Rescue and recovery ships emerged carefully, their designs modern, efficient, unmistakably advanced. The Armada's survivors watched from a distance as Earth's fleet arrived, not aggressively, not triumphantly, but quietly. Professionally, the human warship was secured, tethers locked in place, power stabilized. Captain Ward watched the process through a cracked viewport. They came, an officer said softly. Ward nodded. They always do, he replied. As the veteran warship was slowly pulled free from the dead flagship, a final truth settled across the galaxy. Humanity had not come to threaten. They had come to demonstrate what happens when every other option fails, and when the last power breaks, and when fear tries to decide the outcome. The stars had seen it now. The silence that followed was not emptiness. It was understanding, and it terrified them far more than the battle ever had. The galaxy did not return to normal. It pretended to, but something fundamental had shifted, and everyone felt it. In the weeks following the battle, the footage replayed endlessly across every major network. Analysts slowed it frame by frame. Historians argued. Politicians denied what their eyes had clearly seen. A single, battered human warship had entered a demonstration meant to celebrate galactic superiority, and rewritten the rules of power without ever claiming the throne. No parade followed. No conquest fleet surged outward from Earth. That silence frightened the galaxy more than any invasion could have. On Virex Prime, the Galactic Defense Council reconvened under emergency protocols. The chamber looked the same, but the mood was unrecognizable. Seats once filled with confidence now held unease. No one joked. No one boasted. The commander stood before them, older somehow than he had been days before. "We misjudged Earth," he said simply. No one argued. "We assumed peace meant weakness," he continued. "We assumed restraint meant decline. We assumed that because humans stopped expanding, they had forgotten how to fight." The room remained silent. We were wrong. Reports followed. Fleet doctrines revised. Expansion votes delayed. Border conflicts quietly canceled. Species that once planned to pressure human space suddenly found their enthusiasm gone. Not because Earth threatened them, because Earth had demonstrated what it remembered. On a secure human medical ship, Captain Elias Ward lay in recovery, his injuries severe but survivable. Tubes ran from his arms. Scars covered his face, some old, some new. Outside the viewing window, the veteran warship floated in dry dock, its hull torn open, its armor blackened and warped. Engineers moved across it like ants repairing a fallen giant. A junior officer stood beside Ward's bed, watching quietly. "They're calling it the Virex incident," she said. Ward smiled faintly. "They always name things after the wrong part," he replied. "The galaxy thinks it was a warning," she added. Ward considered that. "No," he said. "It was a reminder." Across Earth and its colonies, reactions were calm. There were no mass celebrations. No victory speeches. Memorial services were held instead, for those lost, for those injured, for the ship that had given everything and asked for nothing. The veteran warship was officially retired again. Not scrapped, not dismantled, preserved. Its name was etched into stone beside others like it. Ships that had stood alone when the odds said survival was impossible. Children would learn about it in school, not as a weapon, but as an example. Meanwhile, the galaxy adapted. Military academies rewrote textbooks. The phrase human-style redundancy entered common use. Admirals trained for scenarios where sensors failed, where automation collapsed, where enemies did not retreat when damaged. They trained for humans. Trade envoys approached Earth with caution instead of condescension. Negotiations became polite. Borders were respected. Laughter vanished from discussions involving human space. In the council chamber, the historian stood before a projected image of the veteran warship, scarred, burning, unstoppable. "This is not about power," she said to the assembly. "This is about philosophy." She gestured to the image. Humanity does not build for victory alone. They build for loss, for failure, for the moment when everything breaks and someone still has to stand. An admiral shifted uncomfortably. "And if they stand alone?" The historian met his gaze. "They always plan to." Far from the council, on the edge of human space, Earth's fleets continued their quiet routines. New ships were built, sleeker, faster, more advanced than the veteran that had faced the Armada. But deep in secure docks, older hulls remained. Maintained, upgraded, crewed by those who understood what they were for. They were not symbols of dominance. They were insurance against extinction. One final broadcast from Earth went out across open channels. Not dramatic, not threatening. It was brief. "Humanity acknowledges the outcome of the Virex engagement," the message said. "We seek no escalation. We seek no apology. We will continue to honor our treaties." A pause followed. Then one last line. "We simply ask that our history no longer be mistaken for irrelevance." The message ended. The galaxy listened. On Virex Prime, the commander stood alone in the empty council chamber long after others had left. He replayed the footage again. The moment the human ship advanced while burning, the moment it rammed the flagship instead of retreating, the moment it stopped fighting once the lesson was clear. He finally understood what had unsettled him most. The humans had never lost control. Not once. They had chosen every step. They had chosen restraint. They had chosen sacrifice. They had chosen when the battle ended. That was power no Armada could match. Weeks later, a ceremonial visit was proposed, an exchange of observers between Earth and the Council. The vote passed unanimously. No one wanted misunderstandings again. As the galaxy slowly adjusted to its new understanding, one truth became common knowledge, passed quietly from commander to commander, from diplomat to diplomat. Humanity did not need to threaten. They did not need to posture. If Earth ever sent an old warship again, it would not be to show strength. It would be because something had gone terribly wrong.